Hey Elijah, it's Erica. Not gonna lie, this is terrifying. Man, it's one thing having a conversation in person about it, it's entirely another to record myself doing this. So, yeah, this is intimidating. Gonna try to be gentle with this, and I hope you receive it in that way. But what I received from him is that gaboons live in the jungle, and you do not. You live in Montana. And so gaboons live outside of your area of authority, which is a thing to note. I also, something that kept popping in my head is Genesis 3:15. Where God speaks to the serpent and says, he shall bruise your head and you shall bruise his heel. And then I guess lastly is be wary of the hidden dangers in areas outside of your authority. If you're careless, death will come upon you. And that last phrase is more heavy than I would have chosen. But that is what God asked me to share with you, and I hope it means something to you, and that you can engage with God in that. Thank you for the challenge. It has been fun learning and growing. I can't wait to see what you do with this.
What's up, fam? Elijah Chandler here, and welcome back to another episode of EXTOL WE. And this week, Erica, Daniel, David, Bishop are my extras, and I am the ordinary. That time of year when things are starting to get a little bit more cold, back in the garage and having to dress warmer because it's getting colder outside. But so excited to dive into these two videos. The video that went live this last week was Working with Satan, and then connected to another video posted 3.5 years ago in the past called Children Will Prophesy. And the beautiful thing about that was that my little girl, Kailani, every day when I would head off to work, she'd say, "Dad, watch out for gaboons. They have really sharp teeth." It led to this process of me finally giving in to her little prophetic voice, checking out what gaboons were, and found out that on 22 counts that they are the most dangerous viper in the world, and that my little girl pulled the name out of the blue, that she didn't know it was an animal, I didn't know it was an animal, and that in that process I released the insights that I had learned from my little girl in regards to gaboons, and then invited the Extraordinary Life with Elijah community to record videos for their insights of what they were seeing in all of those things and release those to me. And Erica was the only one who released a video to me. Erica, this is what I had planned that whole time. Family, I wanted to take those videos, look through all of them that I would get back from all of the people who were with me at that time, gain those insights, pour those into a video, and then release them. Now here in about 4 weeks, there's gonna be a video that's released on Extraordinary Life with Elijah where I launched on that video to express what was in my heart, but thank God for his grace through Skyla that she diverted me away from posting that video. In the video that Erica sent to me, who was the only one to send me a video, that she said, "Gaboons live in Africa in the jungle and you live in Montana. So they're outside your authority." Likewise, she said, quoted out of Genesis where it says that you will bruise his head, he will bruise your heel. That there's this destiny of stomping on things, but then this final admonition of be careful as you press into things that lie outside of your authority. If you try messing with those things and handling them out of their season, death will come upon you suddenly. In that video that I had, all of the things that I was about to release, and that I did release in that video, but deleted, thank God for his grace in Skyla, clear Skylas, that I was releasing so much church hurt that was as a result of experiences that I had had during that season of life. And I went full send on some things that I was going to put into a video and release to the world that I did not have authority to speak into. So incredibly beautiful now that I'm releasing this video here in this space, that my dear friend Erica is in a time where she's experiencing some very difficult medical things, that she had one of her lungs collapse and that she has undergone surgery in this time, that this breath, this expression of her ability to speak has been attacked. And now she's just in this place where she's whispering in the night and holding on to this expression of God's goodness in her life and contending with him through a very dark night of the soul. That's so beautiful to see how this word that she breathed out into my life as a result of me just asking. It was a huge step of faith for her, but that because I asked, she said, okay, where you lead me, I will follow. What you feed me, I will swallow. Here you go. And turned it loose, and that it has sat there for 3.5 years and aged to this perfect time to now release to you what the Lord has done in the last week through me and my friend Daniel. As I got ready for this video, that I wanted to re-engage the note that I had used on gaboon facts, to bring those to you all and to present what I had discovered in all these facts with God about gaboons. Now, as I scrolled down through my note, that there's all of the different elements. That gaboon has the second highest venom yield of any snake after the king cobra, so on and so forth. And that as I went through those things in that video, that I was checking them off. Check, check, check. So as I went back to look at my notes and to release finally the prophetic insights that I have for each of those facts, I got all the way down to the bottom, and where it stopped, where it says Kailani for the win, there was one extra note at the very bottom that was unchecked that had been sitting there latent for 3.5 years that says, the gaboon viper is known as the whisperer, and what is whispered in the night, we are to shout from the rooftops in the light of day. Check. Family, my friend Daniel and I got away this last week when these two videos went live. That he and I got away to his parents' cabin to have a summit to pursue the things that we have been developing over the last year together in embodied practices. We wanted to have an experience where we had a consultation with the Father on the mountain, much in the same way as Jesus did in his transfiguration, where we take counsel with the Father and to hear his delighted declarations of our identity in the presence of witnesses through the cloud of his glory, to infuse us with his power and his glory, so that in coming down the mountain, we would have greater ability to release the kingdom and to minister to other people. And in the account of when it says that Jesus came down the mountain in the transfiguration, it says that people saw Jesus from a distance and they were in wonder of him and ran to see, like, whoa, what's going on? And then when demons likewise saw Jesus, it says they saw him and started freaking out, that there was this infusion of glory into Jesus's person that empowered him to impart the kingdom with power. That was then my friend Daniel and I's ambition and faith goal with Jesus as we took our retreat. Now, as we arrived at his parents' place where we had our 2-day retreat, we started talking about all of these things of like, how do we press into these things? And then I confessed to him a lot of insecurities about how do we even get started, the things that we're tackling, the complexities and the things that we're trying to find clarity on are so huge. I don't even know where to start, but that we both over the last year have so enjoyed this expression of just pressing into Jesus, starting to practice his presence and encounter him, and that in the presence of God that then things unfold that gives us clarity on how to move forward. As we began to press into these things, it was so beautiful the time that we were having, but that there was this expression in my heart that I knew what God was calling us to do. That there's this lovely space on top of Daniel's parents' house, that it's this overlook, that it's a upper deck that is on the very top of the house that you can climb the spiral staircase up to, be on top of the house, looking out over this mountain valley. And it's so incredibly beautiful. And that God dropped into my heart and said, what I have whispered in the dark, I want you to shout from the rooftops. Now, family, it took me so long to act on that in faith, and that there's this fear of like, God, I think I'm hearing your voice, but I don't know. Is Daniel gonna wanna jump in on this expression? Like, is he gonna think that this is good leadership and wanna jump in behind me and abandon and go and do this with joy? That as it unfolded and I presented the vision to him, that he said, absolutely, do what you have in your heart. I'm with you, heart and soul. That we both ran to this upper deck on the top of the roof and had this beautiful time with the Lord, just shouting forth the beauty of the things that God had taught to us in this secret space of private practice with him in a place of secrecy and intimacy. But then that both he and I were standing on top of this house, on top of a mountain, just shouting at the top of our lungs the things that God had taught us in secret. Family, I had placed this, I think I had begun to put in notes at the bottom to then begin creating bulleted points about the insights that God had given me. And I put that down at the bottom of it and had not visited this note for 3.5 years. And here is this note saying, what is whispered in the night were to shout from the rooftops in the light of day. And that would go live in the week that Daniel and I would go then to have this retreat, talking about the things that God has given us in the secret, and that there would be this place of freedom and joy and love and passion being expressed, not in judgment of the church, not in a place of bitterness or of hurt, but in the declaration of free and open joy and enjoyment in the unity and the expression of community and fellowship that we can have as believers in the body of Christ. And as we got back from our retreat that Sunday, this last Sunday, that I was leading on the worship team, and I had such an increased amount of joy and freedom in my worship, and that then the message that our teaching pastor David brought was in regards to generational expressions of faith and family, and how your children will prophesy, your young men will have visions, and your old men will dream dreams, and that there's this expression of this arc of the forward momentum of faith and family. And that here my little Kai girl had prophesied to me 3.5 years ago in the past, and that had brought this health and life and protection to my life through warning me, Dad, watch out for gaboons. They have real sharp teeth. Now, additional Azzy Bear can be also part of my extra. Then while Daniel and I were up and at a retreat, that Azriela had a powerful prophetic voice to us in breaking through into seeing insights in the kingdom, marking these signposts of what God was releasing into me through prophetic voice to release grace to you so that you can know my Father more. So incredibly beautiful, my friends, that in regards to the expression of leadership that I've been working on for the last 20 years, that then God woke me up early morning with new insights on his heart revealed within this expression of reproductive respiration and the increasing momentum of a legacy in faithfulness among family. That was so beautiful then, that as I had this new insight with God and this expression of forward momentum and identity and faith and faithfulness and God's affirmation and promises, and not people dying in faith and not having received what was promised, that only together with us would they be made perfect. And that was part of my friend David's sermon that all came together in this moment of affirmation with my friend Bishop, that as he gently released the grace that's on his life, the things that he does very easily, as he served to please the Father's heart through the exercise of his gifts, that he imparted grace to me so that I could know my Father more in a profoundly new and intimate way. As I went through the video of working with Satan, this deep revisiting of this harboring of bitterness that would take root to arise to defile many, that this avoidance of other parts of the body. It was so beautiful to see these passing moments that I just thought were funny, where there's a chair just sitting out in the middle of nowhere that was really comfortable to sit on and to spend extra time on. And then I just stumbled across this hobo camp, that I was stepping on someone's hobo camp who had set up life out in the woods all by themselves. And that God then began to speak to me in those things of how easy it is for people who've been hurt within a context of the body to just go out and do life with Jesus by themselves out in the woods. And there were these tempting places of rest for me to just sit down out in the woods and to be supra spiritual all by myself. And that there was another person who had just completely set up life all by themselves, isolated out in the middle of nowhere in a hobo camp. And now I was stomping on their hobo camp and the declarations of, don't do this. Don't align yourself with Satan. Align yourself with the identity of Christ being expressed in the earth. Now, family, the joy is that my new breakthrough with my friend Bishop and David was that there's this beautiful alignment of accomplishments that comes in generational ministries, 3 generations to the future, that then align with our personal identity as spiritual parents, that then bring the full manifest expression of what God has done in and through us in the earth. Now, hopefully, as you can see, all of this is coming together at the exact right time and season for God to put on display a powerful message of his goodness, a sign and a wonder that would help to invite my fam into a connection within the unity of the body, in a community of covenant intimacy that would express the goodness of God's glory being expressed in the movements of his people. Family, in this context of gaboons, watch out for gaboons, Dad. They have real sharp teeth. That gaboons are known as the whisperer, and that snake of old likes to come in the night and to whisper lies to us in these places where it's a dark night of a soul, that you're pressing through this wild jungle that seems like it's out to kill you, and that there's things that are hiding in the night, in the wait, that are hunting for your heart in the darkness of your areas of your heart that are in those back closets that you haven't dealt with and you haven't brought out into the light, that he likes to lie in wait there and to hunt for you as you move into that place, in a place of hurt. And that gaboons have the longest fangs of any viper in the world. And that while being second only to the king cobra in their venom yield, that they have a higher injection than even the king cobra, because they bite their prey and they don't let go. They just hang on and they dump the full yield of their venom deep into the muscular structures of their prey. And then they're the heaviest viper in the world. And therefore those fangs are just ripping, shredding, and tearing and creating these deep, deep wounds that are reopened in the muscle, the strength of its prey, that it hangs on in order that it can devour it without having to then chase it after a while once it dies. Gaboons, they hunt at night and they're cold-blooded, and so therefore they move really slow. They can't waste their energy trying to chase their prey down. So you have to walk past them. That means you have to go and visit familiar places that you've been before, and that there's a habit of going to that place, going to that place, going to that place. And therefore, Satan can lie in wait in that space to wait for his opportune time, because he knows this guy's going to be visiting this place of pain again. Then they wait in that space of pain, and place where you go back to revisit those things and to pick at either scars or wounds that haven't fully healed, that they can be there to bite you. That they present themselves as being very docile, and that they can be handled as easily and as safely as any non-venomous snake. And so that we become comfortable with these things of our past that are wounding, or things that have been difficult. That we just handle them, we take insights from them, and it's our little pet peeve that we're just like, that's my pet peeve about the church. And then we just handle these things and we keep them around, but that they are also among the most quick, explosive striking vipers, due to the fact that they are the heaviest, that they have a lot of weight, so they can strike really fast because they have mass holding them down to the ground. They can go from very docile to being under control to striking super fast and injecting you with the massive load. They're very toxic venom. And while people give lots of attention to king cobras, whoa, look at that guy, he's really scary, and look how noble he is. And there's this fat chub laying off underneath of a tree that's actually even more dangerous than that king cobra. It's got a cytotoxin that creates cellular breakdown and necrosis. The cells of the body that are all connected, creating the expression of the bride, that it creates cell death, and that they start dying and leaving the body. The snake's bite then re-wounds, that its massive fangs and hanging on with its super heavy weight just rips, shreds, and tears. And so if you don't die from the venom, it's going to take you a long time to re-heal from all of those wounds. And then in this expression of reproducing itself, then that it goes and it confronts other males. That it gives them a little back rub, kind of slowly works its way in, gives them a little back scratch, a little back rub, help to loosen them up a little bit. But then that is actually it positioning itself to be able to raise its headship over and above the other male that it was giving the little back rub to. And that as they combat one another, people with church hurt then begin to circle one another. They're circling issues, and they're trying to squeeze the life out of each other, like trying to choke the breath out of them, and that they keep wrapping around one another, and that all of a sudden their scales are like flailing out as they're trying to squeeze this out to raise their headship over the headship of other people with other church hurts. And we're just arguing and battling in a place of a wounded mindset. In this place that we're so focused in intertwining around one another and circling camps and trying to press our headship over the other headship of people that we don't agree with, who are circling around the applied truths of man over God's word rather than circling around the presence of God, that we lose awareness of what's surrounding us, that we fall into water, fall into fire. And there's that expression of demonic oppression. The man who brought his son to Jesus as he was coming down the Mount of Transfiguration said, man, my son, like this demon throws my son into the fire and into the water all the time, and like he's always been trying to kill him. That there's this expression of that the church becomes so much more preoccupied in battling other expressions of people that they don't agree with, and we're not giving focused energy to the actual enemy that is surrounding us, throwing us into chaos. Where it says that occasionally the combatants will pull apart, take a little rest, and that expression of that angst and the pain starts going down until all of a sudden they try to come together again, and it comes right back up, and they go right back to battling. And that they won't cease, they won't stop until finally one of them is able to wear the other one out and raise its head 8 to 12 inches above its enemy. A family, the ridiculousness then is the greatest distance in the world is the existence between your head and your heart. When God combines the two of those, that he purifies our hearts and minds in Jesus and imparts the peace of heaven that comes to us to safeguard our hearts and minds in Christ Jesus, that we have peace that surpasses understanding, and that through that bond of peace, that we're able then to engage into the unity of the Spirit through, the bond of peace. So incredibly beautiful to see how 3.5 years ago, my little girl Kailani was like, "Dad, watch out for gaboons. They have real sharp teeth." She broke through that God imparted his heart, and that before I just went full send on everything that my heart was bleeding out in, that people don't see things the way they are, they see things the way they are. And I was deeply wounded. And so as a result, I wasn't seeing clearly. And then my little prophetess saved me. And that is, I then went to release that out of a place of woundedness. Another prophetess in my life saved me. And then God brought Skyla along in the park and diverted me after I had not listened to any of those prophetic words, and I had released this vitriol nastiness on a video. God brought another prophetess in the park, Skyla. That diverted me off. And then 3.5 years in the future with a friend, dear friend, who together with me pursues this expression of getting into our heart before the Lord in his presence, shouting what he has released to us in the secret from a place on the rooftops, that another prophetess, Azriela, came along, prophesied to me, and helped me and my friend break through into beautiful truths in God. Family, my encouragement to you is that wherever you're at in life, that if there's areas of woundedness in your heart, that you said, "No, it's not there. I don't have any trouble dealing with God's people or having fellowship with the saints or reaching out to those who profess Christ. I don't have any hurt there. I'm good with them all." But that then all of a sudden you find out, oh no, yeah, there very definitely is. There's an enemy lying in wait that is positioned at an opportune place that you visit over and over that hasn't been fully healed. And I would join with my young prophetess, Kailani, in declaring, watch out for gaboons. They've got real sharp teeth. If you subscribe to what I am doing, then hit the button, hit it, and then get it. Hit the bell as well so you get notified with the new content. I'm so content. If you love this video, you didn't just like it, hit the thumbs down button. I pray blessings on all of our lives together. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video.